Hi everybody. It's your friend Daniel Hutchins, or should I say, Daniel Jones. So what are we doing? Well, we don't have the green hat on today, but we have the next best thing. The South Chicago hat of the Chicago White Sox. Or should we say, the Chicago Black Sox of the 1919 World Series. Okay, so, well, what are we doing here at the University of New Mexico? Well, lots of beautiful things. But let's remember, guys, we have to be exceptional. We've got to be excellent. And everybody has to eat. So what we need to do is come up with the next best series of extra scenes to add to the project. So what are we gonna do? Well, you see, what I'm gonna do was I was gonna do some extra scenes for the director's cut of my special project. But we became engulfed by this supply shortage, or should we say supply complication. Yeah, a major supply shortage or supply level of low supply that was not able to get curated for this particular segment. However, let us remember that, again, like we said before, sometimes even a true adventurer has to go to plan B. And after tackling the Golden Arches for a super heroic meal, I was able to find a super beautiful girl who almost looked like she was from out of time. When I mean by a girl that was simply out of time, I mean I was not joking. It is real. When I mean by real deal, I mean she was the real deal. I literally saw with my own two eyes a girl that was dressed from the 1950s, skirt, socks, dancing shoes, etc., etc., etc. But she noticed that I was going through a stomach battle after eating a very, very, very factory processed meal at the Golden Arches. So what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna have to improvise. How do we improvise? Well, we gotta use our imagination. And how do we do that? Well, wandering around the campus at UNM until we find what we are looking for. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, as I'm going down the stairs out here over by the really nice brand new student dormitories, you see how real deal the outside furniture pieces are, and how the stucco, sand, brown colored exterior really fits the bill of our fan-made Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark project. I'm like, come on. Obviously, you already kinda see the color palette. Looks like the desert, right from when that one scene where you had General Talbot, and he was asking the desert soldier to follow strict order or else risk a very, very severe consequences. So you already see. Oh, and then we also have a window right here, and the rest of the real deal. Okay. Also, we have some real deal witnesses right here as we are making sure to very much secure the real deal. How do we do that? Well, that's simple, actually. What we need to do is find the right environment. How do we find the right environment? Well, we try to blend in while not looking too suspicious while doing this next series of extra scenes for our project of fixed edits. Okay, so what do? Well, I'm walking down the main sidewalk, and as you see, there's all these little secret corridors back here. So this makes the perfect little enclave of action sequences that are very much the real deal. So this will be perfect for like the maze of the corridors of the sector we like to call the university, student houses. As you see, we are very much in the very heart, in the catacombs of the real deal houses of the setting and where we procure the real deal. So much so that the brown and the tan and the stucco and the spiral staircases really much very hit the vibe we are looking for. Even so that the trees also are very much a staple of the setting of this fan-made super fixed edit of this adventure that is completely a Hutchins Hut original, and where we are making this imagination become a fixed reality of your wildest dream. More wilder than a wildest dream that could ever be created by a certain someone named Miss Terror of Swift. Now, again, how do we make sure we are staying on course with the mission? Well, that's easy. We just have to find that one place, because the sun is falling down, and we need to return to where we were on the first scene, the temple of where I left the Bible that I rejected, to grab that golden egg of destiny But fear us not, my friend. We right now are trying to break some new Mexican ground of the Southwest caliber. More mysterious than the mystery of the sword, we like to say, of Excalibur. However, remember, this is to not ever be exposed to people of the Bo-Katan frequency or jealousy of doubts. So since we already did that already, we are just going in a universal circle, and you can see just how southwest the desert landscape of this high desert very much is the perfect setup for what is the director's cut of the real deal. So what are we gonna do? Well, that's actually simple. Okay. So now, what we need to do is first we need to return to the temple, see if the book is still there, and if not, then we will return back on another night. But we're not letting this opportunity slip, because the minute we do, we're going to realize that at the end of the day, or should we say, as the sun falls down over the horizon line, over the beautiful area of the 505, we love the lovely place we call the Albuquerque. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is actually look at the beautiful sun as, again, the beautiful sun as it drops over the horizon. Okay? You see, that is a beautiful sundown, if I would say so myself. But remember, we are still trying to redeem the real deal. So how do we redeem the real deal? Well, since all the teachers are already going home, we have the high ground. We have the upper advantage that the rest of the old world cannot ever touch or procure. So, what do? Well, that's easy. We continue forth with the Destiny quest to find the real deal, extra edited, unadulterated, real deal adventure in which we endow most unalienable rights to make sure that the real deal is always blue, always saved into the stretches of forevermore. Yeah, so now we just have to make sure that we are getting the real deal. So, to capture that real deal, we need to think fast, because if we don't, the opportunity might slip. Ah, man, a beautiful black Porsche 911 Carrera, beautiful. But remember, back in the 1940s, or whenever we had the adventures of the young Indiana Jones, well, we don't have those. So, well, actually, we had them, but he doesn't have them. That is the same beautiful yellow Camaro I saw on the parking lot the other night. The same night I was doing the filming of the temple. There's also a green Dodge Charger or Challenger. They kind of look the same, but not really, because it has a nice stock body, of which makes a muscle car of the Americas much grand scale than any single car that has ever endured into the stretches of forevermore. So what we need to do is simple. We need to capture the real deal majestical spirit of New Mexico before the sun goes down above the horizon line. So what we need to do, well, there's Taco Bell. We did not go to this Taco Bell in what feels like a few weeks ago. However, the last time I went to that one was a couple days ago, but then I realized the Jedi Council actually did not give me the fixed edited price of what I needed to ensure that my real deal status was fed. So we are gonna keep moving forward with the speed of a real deal legend, and we are returning to the temple that is behind the Albuquerque Fire Department, and make sure that we return to the temple before the sunlight is gone. So, again, I know exactly where it is, so fear is not, my dear friend, because we, even though we don't have the gear, or should we say the green hat of olive green, we have the Chicago White Sox hat on my head right now. And so, fear us not, my friend. We have to make sure that we are capturing the real deal. As you see, we are almost at our destination. So, well, we always have to try to stay blue. Yep. As blue as a Force Jedi ghost. As blue as if Anakin Skywalker had never turned to the dark side. And as blue as Obi-Wan Kenobi, as he never turned to the dark side at all. He was the most cleanest, most purest Jedi of the entire order, despite the fact he kind of had a thing for Mandalorians, like Duchess Sabine, and a lot of, should we say, people that had the high ground. Why did Obi-Wan love the Mandalorian so much? Well, because he likes to joke and kid around with Anakin about always having the high ground. So, what we need to do, well, we are almost at that temple. So what we need to do is go back down to the temple, and we are actually already there. But right now, we just need to check to make sure that, you know, it's still very much part of the deal. So, what we need to do is simple. We just need to go back to the temple, despite the fact it might be different than the last time we were there. Okay, so here we go. So, remember this little stunt we used to do back on the first episode? Well, you see, we're going down to the temple trench to see if there is still the book that we left behind. And if it's not there, then we already know that, well, because we don't need to read a Bible, because we already know the spirit of the real deal. So, what we need to do, well, let's see. Okay, a bunch of garbage. Okay. That looks like a bunch of scraps from what looks like a carpentry project. Somebody's been really hitting the Coca-Cola and the Sprite Mini, I see. But remember, my friend. Oh, what is this? Oh, this looks like a bunch of filters. Okay, so as we are back down here where the first scene was, remember there's a little sign next to where we left the book, and there's a little sign that says exhaust fumes are contaminating the fresh air intake. Please turn off these engines, or please turn off engines, because exhaust fumes actually come from the area in which this little loading dock of where I'm sitting is where our journey began. But remember, the sun is falling down and we are back on the temple trench. So, well, what are we gonna do? Well, we have our water. Okay. What are we gonna do? Well, that is a good question. What we need to do is, since this is the return to the temple trench where we saw, or should we say, you have saw from episode 1, we need to make sure that we are doing this real deal. So, what we need to do is actually very simple. What I need to do is, well, first I need to take this backpack off. You see, okay. So now, what we need to do is simple, actually. What we need to do is, well, what we need to do is simple. First, we need to, well, since, you know, we're trying to do the real deal, we need to make sure that we have the real deal. Okay, yeah, okay. So, what are we gonna do? Well, pulling out a bunch of my supplies out of my backpack of adventure and trying to see if there is something that we can do. Well, we also have the Arthur Fonzarelli favorites of ravioli, where we don't need that right now. We also have a journal. Our journal is a black leather bounded journal that has a Celtic design that is deep. Yes, a very Celtic-like deep bounded leather journal. But we're not leaving that behind. Oh no. But we do, however, have the best snack ever. Scooby snacks. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave a trail of Scooby snacks. And we are going to, let's see, we're gonna leave a trail of Scooby snacks all the way. Leave a trail of Scooby snacks. A trail of Scooby snacks. As we are not the set a real deal. How do we do that? Well, that's it. We're spreading out the Scooby snacks. Of course, we say spreading out first. Tossing the evidence away. But remember, that is part of the deal. So now, what we need to do, well, actually, what we need to do now is simple. Well, okay, so we are, oh yeah, we also have another pair of super awesome silver graded sunglasses and Albuquerque clinical trials. Well, since, I don't know if this is gonna fit, but, okay. Maybe that will not work on the water bottle. However, fear us not, my friend. We also have a lock with a key. We're saving that for another scene, okay? So what we need to do is, actually, that's actually very simple, my dear friend. What we need to do is, we have a bunch of biohazard stickers. Biohazard stickers, okay. A biohazard sticker. We also have a can opener. We have a bottle opener. Can opener. And we're not opening that right now. So what we're gonna do is actually very simple, actually. We are going to leave a biohazard sticker right on the sides of the, well, even a biohazard sticker on the sides of the dumpster. Because, after all, it says exhaust tubes are contaminated in the area. So they need to see the biohazard sticker. So the best way to do that is by ensuring that, again, that is what they do. So, also, we got a bunch of other things in here, but we don't need that. What else do we have? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we also have some other extended things. We have another pair of red heart glasses. What else do we have? What is that? That's just the stuffing from the Builder Brothers that I built from week 30 semester. Okay, so what else do we have here? Money. Money. Yes, money. What would we do with money? Oh, I don't know. Lots of cool things. But, fear not, my friend. Fear not. Because we have something better than money. What else do we have? We have a calculator. Okay. Okay, a calculator. Okay, so right now we are at, well, we started our adventure with $300. Then we subtracted $7, subtracted by 45, and then, or 45.0, and then we subtract by today's purchase, again, which was dinner at the Golden Arches, which gave me the stomach ache and the stomach bug problem. And that was, what was it again? Oh, 14.5. Yep, we are right on the money on this one. We are at $233.50 for the rest of the project. For the fixed edits, for our Indiana Jones dossier. So, since we got that already set already up, what do we do now? Well, we have a bunch of pencils. Oh. We've got a comb. Don't need that unless you know you're an operator Fonzie. You might use that later for another fixed thing. Don't need that. Okay. I'm still trying to find, if I could find my other stuff. Oh, come on, Bo. Come on, boss. Okay, we need to think fast. Okay, think fast, my friend. Think fast. What do? We got some worn-in stickers. We have a rough sticker. We don't need that. We have the black glasses. We have the color-changing glasses whenever I do a good deed. Okay, we don't need that. Okay. Oh, we also have the my Knight Commander journal. That's also really important. My Knight Commander journal. Okay. Well, you know, we have a CD that we got. What do we have in here? My satchel. Well, we also have. Oh, look at this! Another Bible. Yeah, but that is not the one that we left from when we grabbed the Golden Egg of Destiny. This is a gold-paged Bible with red letters for the words of God. Okay, now we just need to make sure that the God. How the hell did I put this in the last time? Well, who cares? I'm just trying to close the dang thing. Okay, alright. This is straight fluffernutter. What the heck? Okay. Well, never mind. That is not going to work for our new idea. Okay. Well, that's not going to work. Okay, so as you see here, okay, we are trying to figure out the next idea, okay? But let's not dwell on specifics because, well, again, we got cheeseburger macaroni, hamburger helper. We don't need that. Well, what the hell are we gonna do now? Well, that is a good question. I know, right? So now we have the money. We might actually use that for our later scene. And well, we also have the bags of my markers, pencils, and other supplies that we can use for the map room. The map room? Yes, the map room. That is another scene that we are adding to the director's cut of this movie. Yes, or should we say. Okay, so, alright. Let's not dick around anymore. Let's get the hell out of here. Because, well, like everybody says, an adventurer sometimes needs to make a swift exit. So, what we need to do is make sure this is executed with real deal precision. So, okay. Now, I know this video is gonna probably get trimmed later, but we are already half hour into this adventure here. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I think I hear the real deal. I hear the birds as they are about to chase me in the temple of the trench. So, what we need to do is run like the wind and get the hell out of Dodge. How do we do that? Well, shit. Here it goes. Shit. Okay. Shit. Here it goes. Alright. I'm not moving fast enough. Oh, shit. You hear the thunder? Well, that was kind of too close for call. Well, I don't know. But remember, my friends, if you want to have the real deal, sometimes you might be using the map in the wrong places, unless you don't even have the map at all, because, well, just like the Native Americans used to rely on the stars, the sun, the moon, and the direction of where they have been before. Well, that's the beautiful thing about it. You realize that deep down inside, you always have a true heart for a real good adventure. So, well, let this be a lesson to everybody, to be excellent to everyone. And hey, even if you don't realize that even when you try to return for a Bible or a book that you thought you left behind, remember, kids, remember, my friends, remember, my true friends, at the end of the day, everybody still eats. No matter how ridiculous it might be, you realize that, hey, wow, this is actually kind of a cool little study over here. Wait a second. Never mind. I'm just trying to do a little bit of, but right now, I realize, wow, these student dormitories are definitely the real deal when you have tables and bar stools and soda machines stocked up with Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, and Mountain Dew, and all the beautiful treasures of the soda trinity, and then realizing that deep down inside, the thirst for adventure is real. even in the bottom of our stomach, we'll realize that, hey, even true adventure needs to have a real deal thirst quencher. Whether it will be whatever kind of fixed beverage that you might require. Especially when it comes down to the bottom of a barrel. And then you realize that again, my lovely, most beautiful friends, that sometimes it takes real adventure to realize that, hey, even if you don't really have an idea or a compass or a map or anything of that regard at all, well, now this is a nice little chap playing a little bit of some cornhole. We got some cornhole, we got some ladder ball, we got these little nice little gazebos of wood benches, and oh wow, a chessboard area. Now that is most excellent. Okay, I'm not really sure where I get the chess pieces from, unless, I don't know, you have to provide your own, or I don't know. But chessboards, well, I guess, why not? Why not? We could pretend we're playing a game of chess. Now that makes for an excellent idea. An excellent fixed edited idea. Well, what do we do? Hello there. How's it going?